All right, so let's try to find what it's asking for in these two questions. We'll start with the first one, finding the absolute maximum value on this closed interval -2 to 1. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually not going to do any calculus. The first thing I'm going to do is plug in those endpoints. See, it says -2 and then +1. So I'm going to evaluate this function at -2. And we're going to give our brains a little workout today. I agree. I love brain workouts. Right? My son last night told me the greatest thing. He said, "Dad, I love math." I said, "I do too, son." All right. What is -2 to the 4th power? 16. Thank you. Ooh, I was really worried. This is going to take a lot longer than I anticipated. Okay. What is -2 cubed? -8. But then when I multiply it by the -8 that's already there, I'm going to write +64. Wow. -2 squared is 4. 4 times -4, or excuse me, -14. Good thing you're here, Andres. I was a little worried on that one too. And then write down -4. Let's see if we can do this with our brains. 16 plus 64. That's 80. 80 minus 56. 24. 24 minus 4. 20. How's everybody doing? Yes, everybody good? Do that again. But now I'm going to plug in 1, the right side of the interval. Okay, so plug in 1. This one will feel a lot simpler. Okay, 1 to the 4th power is 1. 1 cubed is 1. 1 times -8 is -8. That's going to be 1 squared, which is 1 times -14, which is -14, minus 4. So 1 minus 8, -7 minus 14, -21 minus 4. Oh my gosh, your brain is just firing. I love it. Okay, how's it going? Right, no, not actually firing, right? With no guns in here. Okay. That was step number 1. Step number 1. We did. Yes, you can see my very helpful pieces of paper up there. Okay. Step number 2 is to take the derivative. All right, so let's find f prime of x. All right, so I'm going to take the derivative of 1, 2, 3, 4 different terms. What is the derivative of x to the 4th power? 4x cubed. Now remember on this one, I do have a coefficient. So I'm going to take the 3, multiply it by the -8. That gives me -24. And then it's going to be x squared. Same thing with the -14x squared. That's going to be minus 28x. And what's the derivative of -4? 0. All right. Once you have the derivative, to find the critical points, you're going to set it equal to 0 to solve for these critical points. And when I take a look at that, is there anything I can factor out of all 3 of those terms? Definitely an x, and Bernadette said it, and a 4, right? So I'm going to take out the 4x. When I take that out, I get x squared minus 6x minus 7. Okay, can you think of factors of -7 that add to -6? I heard -7. Let's see if that works. Yes, we feel good about that? All right, so what are my critical points? 7. Okay, you're missing 1. And 0, Georgie. How'd you get that one? Oh, nice. Welcome. That's something I would say. I appreciate that. From which of these factors? Very good. There is a variable here, so I do care about this, right? What would make this 0? Don't think so hard. 0, right? So 0, 7, and -1 will be my 3 critical points. Critical points. Now, do I care about all of these? In this problem, The answer may not be yes, because I care about the ones that are in this interval. So if it's in that interval, -2 to 1, I care about it. If it's not, do I care about it for this problem? I don't. So is 0 in that interval? Yes, I care about it. Is 7 in that interval? No, I don't care about it. And what about -1? I do care about it. So I'm going to be plugging in 0. I know, right? It's just one problem. What's up? Okay. Now, hopefully this one's pretty straightforward because all the zeros are going to make everything 0. So it's 0, -0, -0. So I really just care about the -4 at the end. So this is -4. And then I'm going to plug in my other critical point I cared about, which is -1. Okay, help me with this one. This one's a little tougher. -1 to the 4th power is +1, right? Because it's an even degree. All right, -1 cubed is a -1, but I'm multiplying that by a -8, which gives me a +8. -1 squared is +1, so that's -14, and then -4. So if I zoom in, 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 minus 14, -5. -5 minus 4, -9. So here's the last thing. We're almost done, guys. You're doing great. Don't worry, just the first question. Okay? My brain now is going to highlight, all right, with my pen. I'm going to highlight all the y values I just found. Remember, these were the first two. Remember those two? Those are the first two y values from the endpoints. Then my next two that I cared about was this one and this one when I plugged in my critical point. So look at all 4 numbers that I highlighted. I want the absolute maximum. The absolute maximum. So I need you to tell me which one of those y values is the highest. 20. The very first one we did. Yay. All that work to find out that the absolute maximum value is 20. I am serious. Oh, calculator will tell you in 2 seconds. I'll show you right now. I can graph it. Gosh, David, we're so in sync, man. Let's graph it. I said in sync, but that's okay. Just a good band. All right. All right. I already forgot it. Can someone hit me with it? X to the 4th power? 8x cubed? -4? All right, ready? What were the x values that I plugged in? -2, 1, and then what about the critical points that I plugged in that I cared about? 0, -1. So it's actually all of these except for this one. All right, you ready? Yeah. Let me do this. All right, do you guys see all 4 of them? All right. So which of these has the biggest or highest or largest y value? -2, 20. So this is the absolute maximum value on this closed interval. What's that? Oh, yes. This is the delta method. We're pressing right now. From your head? You knew what this looked like from just your head? Okay. Then you see that the x to the power of 4, if you learn what it did. Yeah. You did learn the exponent of an. For sure. What it does. You should be able to sketch a rough estimate of what this looks like. Because you don't see it yet, but there it is. It goes to the right. Yeah. But I'm trying to show you some calculus involved besides just sketching. Okay. All right. Can we do the next one? That was fun, right, guys? At least I had fun. And that's what I guess matters. All right. Let's refocus, okay? We got one more. Number 2. One more. Number 2. Come on, Mauricio. Come on, Gal. Let's try to focus, right? You can do this. All right. Number 2. Okay, excellent, great, thanks. This time, same process. Exact same thing. But we want to find the absolute minimum. So at the very end, the only difference is that I'll be looking for which of those gives you the smallest, all right, y value. That's the only difference. Everything else is the same. So step 1, take the endpoints, -5 and 1, and plug them in. Yay.
Wait, on the AP test, are they all going to be like small numbers?
The AP exam will have sections where they allow you to use the calculator. But in terms of like what you'll be using the calculator for, it has nothing to do with like, oh, we don't know if you know 4 cubed. They're never going to give you a calculator for that. Right? They're going to give you the calculator to do graphing things. Graphing. All right, what's -5 cubed?
185.
-125. It is. Yeah, 5 times 5 times 5. And then -5 squared is 25. What's 25 times 6? 150 is right. You can think, what's 25 times 4? That's 100. And then you've got 2 more of them, so that's 50. So 150. Okay, -5. I think I heard somebody say it. That's going to be -25. Excuse me, +25 minus 5, which is, I heard 20. That's right. Okay, so that's the first one. Now we got to plug in +1. I just went left to right. Okay, this one's a little faster. 1 cubed, 1. 1 squared, 1 times 6 is 6. All right, so what's 1 plus 6? 7. 7 minus 5 is 2. All right, that's always the first step. I get every year a lot of students are like, whoa, I did all my critical points, all of it, but sometimes your absolute extrema, like a minimum or maximum, might actually just be one of your endpoints. Okay, so you always got to check the endpoints as well. Let's find critical points. Let's take the derivative. What is the derivative of x cubed? 3x squared. The derivative of 6x squared plus 12x. And then what's the derivative of -5? 0. So set this equal to 0. All right. Can we factor out anything that they have in common? A 3x. What's remaining? Very good. So what are my critical points?
0 and -4.
Very nice. Now, before you go start plugging those in, you have to ask yourself, are they in the interval? It's a critical step. It's a critical step to make sure you check first, are they in my interval? Is 0 in between -5 and 1? Yes. Is -4 in between -5 and 1? Yes. So both of these I will be plugging in. So let's do f of 0. That one should hopefully be pretty quick. Well, it's not going to end up being just 0, right? Because it's 0 plus 0, but then we have that -5, Edwin. So it's going to be -5. And then plug in -4. Okay? So -4 cubed is -64. -4 squared is 16. Do you know 16 times 6? Somebody said it. It's 96, right? 172. No, too high. -5. All right, so -64 plus 96. That's 32. 32 minus 5. 27. I'm going to highlight all of them. Here are the first 2 I found. Here's the next 2 I found. And again, take a moment before you write the answer. We're trying to find the absolute minimum. So find the lowest or smallest one up here. Which one is going to be the lowest one? 22, -5, or 27? This one should be pretty obvious. There's only one negative. So it's going to be -5. So absolute minimum value of -5. Now be careful when you're taking the AP exam, right? Sometimes they'll ask questions where they say, what's the absolute minimum value? Sometimes they'll say, what is the X value where the absolute minimum occurs? So just be careful about what they're asking. If they're asking for a maximum or minimum value, they're asking for a Y. If they're asking when they say, at what X value does that happen? They're asking for you to say the X. So, if this had said, determine where the absolute minimum value occurs, I would say at X equals 0. You see the difference there? Right, so it just depends on how they phrase it. David, I know, wants to see what the graph looks like. Let's do that real fast. I do too, man. They're the best. Okay, all right. Oh, I'm so sorry. Your brain is dry. All right, so x cubed. Is it minus 6x squared? Plus 6. Thank you, Alan. I think it was Alan. And then is it minus 5? Thank you. All right, and we plugged in. First, we plugged in -5 and 1, right? And then we plugged in 0 and 4. Or was it 0 and -4? -4. Okay, so all these except for this one. All right. So you said, David, like you're trying to look and see what it looks like here, right? This is what it looks like when you have an odd degree with a positive leading coefficient, right? I love my dance moves, right? Like that. So when you zoom in on this specific, sad no one can see it, this specific interval. So here's -5 to +1, right? Here's -5 to +1. It says for the absolute minimum. So you can see the absolute minimum, the lowest Y value is down here at -5. Okay, so just be careful about how they're asking in terms of do they want the X or do they want the Y. All right, any questions on this? All right.